Nice. Coho. Coho on. Oh.
Tab here with Real Michigan Anglers, and today we are going to talk about my favorite salmon fishing lures. When targeting salmon, it's hard to deny that one of the best options is to throw skein. If you don't have skein, they certainly will hit spawn bags as well. Aside from eggs, I have also caught salmon on minnows and jigs and waxworms. But today we're talking about hardware. I'm talking about my favorite lures that I can go toss until I catch a salmon. So let's start with my number one salmon producer, and that is the Mepps Black Fury. Number 3 in particular I have caught the most salmon on. Chartreuse is my most productive color with the Black Furies, but I also use the orange or the tricolor, any of the Black Furies. Very, very good for salmon. In the Mepps category, my second favorite Mepps for salmon is the Mepps AGLIA. Usually number 5. I haven't really even, I think I've had a 3 once before and probably lost it before I caught a fish with it. But the 5s seem to be somewhat readily available at fishing stores, and I get the ones that are gold blade painted pink on the front with the pink body. Number 5 AGLIA. Caught quite a few salmon and steelhead on that one. Also smallmouth. Love the pink number 5. Killer for smallies. So now let's talk about the lure that I caught my very first king salmon with. Before king salmon fishing the first time, I knew nothing about it. Did some research. A lot of guys were saying toss thundersticks. So I bought some thundersticks and tossed thundersticks. And it worked. So, Storm makes the thunderstick. And these are good cheap lures. They're durable. Durable enough for king salmon and pike and muskie and stuff. But they're cheap. These are like $5 approximately. I got these ones on sale for like $2.50 on a clearance deal. Usually though, I'm using the bigger sizes. This is a little bit bigger. This is probably the biggest size I would use in a river. But this color is a winner for salmon. You got the orange belly, gold, and then kind of fades to almost black. That's a good color. For some reason that drives the kings nuts. And the other go-to, chartreuse, kind of a clown color. Can't go wrong with clown. Now this is the typical size that I would use most often. I don't know what that size is, but these ones, the smaller ones, this is the 6 gram or the 3.5 inch. So the smallest I would go is the 3.5 inch, and then I believe this is the next size up, and then this would be the next size up from there. So the middle of those 3 is the one that I like. Silver and purple is another really good color. I don't have one of those to show you, but that's a great thunderstick color as well.
Yes! Coho on! Ate that spinner after several chases.
So while we're talking spinners, because spinners absolutely slay cohos and kings, let's talk about the steelhead slammer. So I first started getting steelhead slammers last year, kind of late in the season. I was gifted one by my friend Jason, and I caught a bunch of cohos on it, and he was catching cohos on these as well. My favorite color thus far is the gold blade with the pink. I think it's the candy pink, or it's the more intense pink. They have such a myriad of colors. Like this is like the bubblegum pink, and then they got this like shinier, more intense colored pink. Another one that I really like that I got recently that I've been catching a ton of fish with is the chartreuse and black. This one's a number 3. The other ones that I have are all number 4s. I haven't ordered any 5s yet, but next time I order I'll probably get a couple 5s in my favorite colors, as well as restocking on the colors that I've lost from now until then. But as of now I'm pretty stocked up, and I'm going to show you the different blades that they have. So they come with a silver blade, a brass blade, a black chrome blade, which I love. Personally, I've caught several salmon on that. And typical gold blade. So, you have those 4 blade colors plus pretty much any body color you can imagine. They put out limited edition stuff like every other week, and they have tons of colors to choose from. So I stocked up on these for the season, and I know I'm going to catch a lot of salmon on these. Another major winner is the mag lip. This is a big 4.5. Usually would go with a smaller size. Also, the quick fish is very similar. I believe that's a Warden's makes the quick fish. Basically same design, different brand. I don't really have a preference between the two. I've actually caught more on the quick fish myself, but was originally turned on to these by using mag lips with a steelhead guide, and learning how to use them in the river really inspired me to get some for bank fishing. So the thing about these is, typically most guys are using these to do what they call pulling plugs behind a boat in the river, where they basically intentionally slow drift while backwards trolling these in the current. So you can do that, but you don't have to have a boat. Just got hooked. Oh my goodness. I'm free. Okay, so you don't have to have a boat to use these. They are difficult to cast because they're very light. So what I do with these is I like to stand upstream from a hole that I want to fish. And if you're the camera downstream, I'm going to cast down, and then I'm just going to let this sit here and wobble in the water. And I'm going to move my rod one direction to the other to make it kind of go back and forth behind from both sides of the river, so I can cover the hole in zigzags like this. And I'll occasionally pull up on the rod to make it really twitch, and then when I let the slack out, it drops back and then comes up and twitches again. I don't get real crazy with the twitch, just a little kind of here and there. And that just creates a situation where the salmon or steelhead become very angered by this and just have no choice but to just beat it up. So I do that. I cast it out, I fan it, and then I hand line out drag. I just pull out a little drag, and I continue that process. And then I pull out another foot or two of drag, and I continue that process. And by the time you get to the back of the hole, you're almost guaranteed to get a fish. So that's a great technique. It requires that you be able to get upstream in a spot where you can kind of work your rod and keep it from drifting off in the side current and that kind of thing. So best while waiting and fishing up above the hole that you're trying to fish. The nice thing is they float, so you can drift it over a shallow spot and then flip your bail and it'll drop down into the hole. So these things are great. Another trick that I do with these is I'll basically do like a catfish rig, but instead of a hook on the end, I'll tie this on. So I'll have a heavy weight holding it down, and then it'll just sit in one spot and just, I mean, this thing goes crazy. The current catches it in different directions, and it'll sweep side to side and wobble and rattle and create a lot of commotion, and a lot of times the fish will be irritated enough by that to hit it. And that works particularly well if you can find pinch points on the river at which salmon are likely to pass through a somewhat small area. You can put it right in that spot as a dead rod while you're casting spinners and stuff with the other rod, and occasionally I will pick up a fish doing that while I'm working another rod. I've totally had a salmon rip my rod right off the bank and into the river before doing that, so be careful. I got the rod back after 15 minutes of dragging a spoon across the bottom of the river, but that's a pretty cool technique also that works really well with these. In that same general idea, you can do the same thing with Hottentots. I've got the chartreuse, I've got the silver and red, came recommended from a friend as his favorite coho color. and I've caught some fish on this. And the pink and chartreuse with white, good for like dark, murkier waters. But those obnoxious colors tend to get those aggression strikes. So remember that when you're choosing your lure color.
You feisty son of a gun.
Last but not least, the little CLEO is legendary. And typically I hear more people talk about it as like a pike lure, but salmon love the CLEOs, okay? These are my two favorite colors right here. I would say the third favorite would be the silver and blue. My first ever steelhead came on a silver and blue CLEO, and I've caught some pretty nice kings with the CLEOs. So this size, the 3/4, and this is the 2/3. So the sizes that I like are the 3/4 and the 2/3. This one is the gold with orange. It's very specific about this. Gold. It comes in silver and orange, which is slightly more common to find. The gold one's the killer, okay? And then when gold isn't the right color, I prefer the chartreuse with silver. That's a good color for any species of fish, but the salmon will dig on that. So those two plus the silver and blue CLEOs. My favorite size is the larger size, the 3/4. I've used the size up from there as well and caught steelhead on those, but I haven't really fished the bigger size as much. It's a little harder to work with lighter rods like steelhead salmon rods. If you got a big heavy-duty salmon casting rod, then you can certainly throw those. So those are my favorite salmon fishing lures for fishing in the river. River fishing for salmon is totally different than fishing in the lake, and a whole nother set of favorite lures would apply to that situation, but I don't have enough experience fishing the big water for salmon to offer up advice in that department other than the things I've learned from people I talk to. But I hope this helps you out for catching more river salmon, and I personally am really excited for the upcoming season. It's just around the corner, and I'm going to be tossing all of these lures to start my season. And maybe I'll pick up a few new tricks this season and share those with you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Fish. Good one. Coming right up. Yeah.